Recently, Microsoft sent me an invite to check out the new Xbox Cloud Gaming Beta on iOS. That's right, it is now available on iOS for a limited time. It may actually be over by this point, but regardless, I needed to jump in to see how this was working. Basically, you needed to have a Game Pass Ultimate subscription, and you needed a PC or an iOS device. I decided to test this on iOS because it was what I was most interested in. You know, if I have to travel for work or anything else, and I have my iPad Pro with me, I'm like, hey, I might want to play some Xbox games. So what I did was I tested it out here at home, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Now, before we get started here, I wanted to show you guys the menu, and I want to address the elephant in the room, which is, hey, Apple kind of blocked Game Pass and Xbox and Microsoft from putting this out, right? This is not on the App Store. And you're right, it's not. It's not on the App Store. The way they're getting around this is that they're actually running a website through Safari. Yeah, the browser that's on iOS. And something else that's cool about this is that you can actually control the menu with your controller. So essentially, the Xbox controller is running through the Safari browser, which is also very, very cool. First, I decided to take a look at Hotshot Racing. It's a really fun arcade racer if you haven't played it. I definitely recommend checking it out, but it's also very difficult. It's tough. It's you know, you got to get used to the way the cars drift, and the AI is actually pretty rubber bandy in it. You know, it really calls back to the way old school racers used to be. Having said that, you all know with racing games, you got to keep your eyes peeled on the screen for anything that could happen, and you got to have your twitch reflexes ready to react, right? And herein lies the problem with cloud gaming. The input lag with this game was horrendous. It was awful. Like, I feel like the car was reacting maybe a second or two after I was moving the stick. Now, obviously, you all out there are not going to be able to see that with the gameplay here. Actually, with the gameplay through my iPad, you can see that it looks really good, the sound is really good, and the loading is actually really good on this one too. But the input lag completely kills it. You can see that I'm bouncing all over the walls. I cannot nail a drift to save my life, and every race that I played in Hotshot Racing during this session, I came near last every single time. It was not fun. So, sticking with the twitchy style games, I wanted to jump into another one to make sure it wasn't just Hotshot Racing that was a problem. So I jumped into Doom Eternal, the ultimate Twitch game, right? But unfortunately, this is another situation where the input lag completely ruins the experience. And I mean really ruins it. Like, Doom Eternal is a game where you gotta be on your toes, right? You gotta kill those demons, you gotta double jump, you gotta move, you gotta use your chainsaw. Like, there's a ton of things you gotta remember to do at all times. And playing this, not only with a controller, but also with a horrendous amount of input lag, is just no way to play the game. In fact, the gameplay you're seeing here, I feel like I barely managed to get through this fight because of the input lag, and this is one of the first fights of the game. And it's really unfortunate too, because this is another situation where everything looks good and sounds good and loads quick, so the only issue is the input lag. Now we're going to swap over here for a second to me playing Doom Eternal on PC, because I had to prove to myself that I'm not that bad at Doom Eternal. Like, I'm not good at this game by any means, but there's no way I was that bad that I was struggling with the first fight. Like, I remember playing this game last year when it came out, and I was like, I didn't have this big of trouble with it. And yes, it's true. Playing it on PC, I have no issues whatsoever. I flew through this fight, did it in like half the time I did it on cloud gaming. And yeah, not only did this help me confirm that I'm not terrible, at least completely terrible at this game, but it helped me also confirm that yes, the input lag is a very serious issue with the Xbox Cloud Gaming. It actually makes it so you don't feel comfortable controlling your car or your character or whatever it is you're controlling, because there's so much delay between when you hit a button and when it happens on screen. Comfort is the ultimate thing, right? You want to feel comfortable controlling your character. So here we are playing a bit of Xeno Crisis. It's a cool throwback twin-stick shooter game that's not only good, but it's also pretty difficult. And I wanted to try it out here because I wanted to see how a smaller game, this is a very tiny game, how it loads up and how it runs here. It's interesting because a game that's smaller and doesn't have as much going on like Doom Eternal actually kind of ran worse. I don't know if this was just because the servers at the time were, taking on more people or what was going on, but you'll notice that there's a little bit of blipping and some stuttering as I'm playing here. Now the interesting thing is that this was the first game to do this to me. However, I could see how this would be even more frustrating if you were playing Hotshot Racing or Doom Eternal because, again, those are games where you really need to be paying attention and you need to be on your toes. And if you have any kind of lag or stuttering or frame skipping or anything like that, it's going to really, really ruin your experience. And unfortunately, the lag stuttering combined with the input lag from the controller makes this game no fun to play at all. I wasn't even able to get to the boss before I was using a continue. And I know this game is hard, but I played through this first level several times. I've never had a problem with it until I played it on cloud gaming. So after playing 3 games where you really have to be on your toes and you need to have your reflexes ready to go, I pretty much came to the conclusion that this service is not ready for that style of game. However, I thought, maybe an RPG? So in walks Battlechasers, which in my opinion is a very overlooked turn-based RPG. I like this game quite a bit, so I started playing a new game on Xbox. So you'll see from this loading screen here that this game takes forever to load. My God, it took a long time. And this is a game that I played most of on the Switch, and it runs and loads very quickly there. This is running over cloud-based technology, so I'm thinking, is this running off of a launch Xbox One? Or maybe it's running off a 360, or maybe a Pentium 2 PC, I don't know. But you can see here, I've been talking for a while, and we're not even in the game yet. So right there, you may have seen a fade to get to the content quicker. Now we are in game here. It took well over a minute to load this scene, where on my Xbox or even on my Switch before, it never, ever took that long. And here is where this just makes me laugh how long this loading screen is. We found a battle, and for us to just get into a battle, my God, the loading on this makes this game completely unplayable. So I just faded and fast forwarded through the loading here, but can you believe that loading this battle took 50 seconds, 50? Yeah, that's right. So can you imagine playing this game over the cloud and waiting nearly a minute when you hit a battle to get into the battle? Because I can't. Again, in my opinion, this makes this game unplayable. And this is supposed to be a turn-based RPG that doesn't rely on you having twitch reflexes. It's madness, really. Now, I suppose this could be deemed as an unfair comparison, maybe, but I decided to jump back on my Xbox Series X and load up Battlechasers and see what the loading times were there. And it is insane because for me to load the game and get into a battle is 10 times shorter than it is for me to just load the scene over cloud gaming. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. One thing I did notice with this game, though, when I jumped back to the Xbox Series X, is that it did save the little progress that I made over the cloud. So it does save your saves up in the cloud. So if you happen to play while you're out on a work trip or just at a relative's house or something and you come back to your Xbox later, you're going to have your save there from where you left off. I think that's really, really awesome. The biggest issue with the Xbox cloud gaming right now is just the input lag. It's almost impossible to play anything but a turn-based game or something like that. If you're going to play anything that requires any kind of twitch reflexes or anything, it's going to be nigh impossible unless you can adjust to the lag, which I know I can't. But I really hope that Microsoft is able to figure this out and get the input lag under control because, to be quite honest, this would be such a great feature. As a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber myself, I would love to have this working normally for a work trip. There you go, everybody. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, a subscribe, and of course, I'll see you all next time.